Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to your training as our fieldwork educators for the UAC OTA program. Sorry, I'm a little hoarse today, but we wanted to go ahead and roll out some education for you guys. And today we're going to talk about childhood and trauma. As you can tell, it was developed by Hallie Bergeron and myself. And so we'll click through. If you'll let me click, there we go. Today, our overview, if we were using this out in public, so to speak, our audience would be counselors, teachers, child psychologists, pediatricians, and parents. So this is if you were taking this and you were going out and explaining childhood and trauma and the topics we're going to cover today. Constructivism is a keyword in this training today, and it's our teaching philosophy as it supports occupational therapy through its focus on active participation. It's about freedom for our clients to explore, and we want them to share in non-traditional ways. It also allows for children to experience the world, to help them build and incorporate new information. And to do that, we like to use the occupation of play, of course. We talked about how the ADDIE model was appropriate for childhood trauma and what we're going to talk about throughout the PowerPoint. So we considered that as our instructional model as it does support nature play, which the focus of childhood and trauma today is going to be about being out in nature in this emerging niche that we have called ecotherapy. Okay, here are our objectives for today. Here's some basic definitions. Some of you may have heard of ecotherapy, some of you may have not, but ecotherapy is offering therapeutic intervention in nature. It's as simple as that. It's getting your children outside and letting them play in a natural environment. Nature therapy is defined, and then wild swimming is swimming in a natural environment surrounded by fresh air, the woods, grass, skies, trees, flora and fauna. Okay. Outdoor experience is about being outside in nature while doing the therapeutic task you need them to do. There's no reason they can't build a tower out of blocks outside. Maybe we stack stones instead. Okay. It also includes the soundscape. Is there air blowing through the trees? You can hear the leaves move. Is there running water nearby? Can you hear animals walking through the woods? Those types of experiences go with the out of doors. You'll also see us mention attention restoration therapy. And this is the belief that nature can help decrease mental fatigue and increase concentration. So what is childhood and trauma? You're all very familiar with children and with trauma. So this is just a couple of basics. They may have experienced trauma to themselves, or they may have witnessed it to someone else. I mean, as you know, this can be, but is not limited to violence, neglect, verbal, physical, emotional abuse, sexual assault, and medical related experiences. We have a lot of children who we are treating with certain conditions that maybe they've had 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 surgeries. So there is medical related trauma involved as well. They can have more than one trauma. Signs and symptoms of trauma, you all know: flashbacks, nightmares, bedwetting, etc. Okay. So what is our role? Okay. Our skill set has a focus on mental health, of course. We are able to treat childhood trauma by assisting with controlling and eliminating triggers and symptoms. Okay. Yes, we use routines, roles, rituals, symbolism. We are also highly trained in working with coping and stress relief techniques and strategies to help children process through their traumas. We also are really well suited to educate and assist parents, caregivers, guardians to implement at the home, implement at schools. So those pieces also play a role in treating childhood trauma. So one of the things that we proposed was that maybe there could be a therapeutic nature camp, 3 weeks of day summer camp at a facility of the choosing for the area that you're working in, whether it may be the YWCA, the YMCA, a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout camp, something outdoors where things are already planned and easily accessible for you to use, such as a pool or horseback riding or any of those pieces of ecotherapy. We were thinking children, male, female, 5 to 10, and specifically mood and anxiety disorders, post-traumatic stress injury, and depression, because those are quite common in the children that we treat. And why do we want to do an ecotherapy program? So that we can teach children how to use nature as a coping mechanism to release stress, so they can then translate the strategies they learn into their everyday life activities, such as play and school, social interaction with siblings and friends and such. The benefits of this would be well-being, happiness, self-esteem, sensory control, excuse me, reducing anxiety, reducing depression. We want kids to feel like kids again. Not many adults, they need to just be kids. So using nature and applying those stress reducing and coping strategies can make such a significant difference in their lives, so they can be happy little kids again, running around free and independent and happy. So some examples of ecotherapy with occupational tasks. We want to start with play exploration, because play, again, is their occupation. It's their number one learning method. Let them bang rocks together and build towers out of rocks. Mud is great, totally sensory, all in there, and gooey. Twigs to build a fairy house. And you can use twigs to build just about anything I've learned as a mother. Friendships, peers, they're working together to create something out of nature. It could also be creating a swimming game out in nature in that. Another area that we really liked for being out in nature and play was physical activities, which we looked at hiking, because you can point up to the sky and they can see a cloud. You could point to the left or to the right or to the ground, teaching them to really look about their space and identify objects. Maybe they'll see a praying mantis or anything of that nature. And that really does tie into the informal education as well. You give them those pieces, then when they're playing by themselves or in a work group together, that they can independently explore flora and fauna in a safe way. And then the next piece with symptoms and condition management, we want to use play and nature interactions to recognize symptom changes and fluctuations. We want them to learn how to feel an attack of their panic coming on or a concern regarding their depression. We want them to know that. And to help with that, they can do forest bathing, which many of you. And this is just a type of nature hike that's very casual. We're not trying to get anywhere fast or speedy. We're looking around, we're taking in nature, and we're just enjoying the process of being outside. These can be during daylight hours. These can be in dusk. You'll hear people do moon bathing walks, moon forest bathing, where they go walk in the woods at night. Now, of course, with children, we want to implement safety, so be mindful of that. Limiting factors or client factors could include mental functions, emotional, memory, attention, energy, personality. All of those pieces are going to play a role in how you use the ecotherapy, and it's going to be based off of each individual client that you have. Body functions, they're going to be doing lots of touching, touching rocks, touching twigs, touching leaves, bringing you something to say, is this an oak leaf or is this a pine needle? Things of that nature. So they're going to be touching. So if they have difficulty with touch or range of motion to reach for something to touch it, you might have some concerns there that you have to address. So we can address ecotherapy through the 3 types of groupings that OTPF4 has given us, which is person-level direct care. This is one-on-one with an occupational therapy practitioner. It's provided unstructured manner. This may be on those casual walks. This could be through wild swimming, any of those pieces. Direct group intervention will be led by an OTP in collaboration with camp counselors, volunteers, parents, anybody who's assisting Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and those are your small groups that you could have. That way you can do, we'll say, wild swimming that's organized in a structured manner so that multiple people are watching to ensure that everything is going well and it's safe. It is safe. An unstructured example of that would be children playing tag in a field, or playing Red Rover in a field, or Duck Duck Goose in a field, just being out in that space where they're kind of in control and the adults and volunteers and so forth are on the sidelines making sure things are safe, but not directing traffic, so to speak. The next level of direct services are meeting the needs of population. And this is by the camp being community-based and open to the public. And again, we put through the local Y because it made sense with what we were using at the time. But that may be through a local park or whatnot that works in your community. Training and education for the therapist. Okay. You're going to need to know the therapeutic use of nature in daily work, which we've done a little discussion here today about. You're also going to need to know some basic horticulture. Is this a rose? Is this a daisy? Just some pretty basic things. Oak versus pine needles for leaves. What poison ivy looks like. Just some basics, nothing fancy. Mindfulness in the outdoors, being how to help elicit that. Forest bathing and mood bathing, we've talked a little bit. And then attention restoration therapy, we gave you the definition of that, but just really being able to focus in. Evaluation and optimization of the natural space. Using our OTPI, what do we see when we look around? Is this space going to work for this child? What adaptations can we make to the space? What type of compensation can we teach to the client in this space, to use in this space? And you need to be able to use that eye to do that. Also, you need to have CPR, which most of us already do, some basic first aid, and water rescue. You do need to be able to protect the child with wild swimming. There are tons of certifications for ecotherapy. I feel like tons to me may not be tons to you, but there are ecotherapy certifications out there. You literally can go on Google and it's going to pull up about 5 right at the top that are wonderful, that are through universities. They are designed well. I've looked at some of those programs. They're very well done. So if you're interested in becoming ecotherapy certified, that is available out there for you. Alrighty, excuse me there. So, and this meets all current standards regarding design and implementation of interventions for mediation and compensation, as well as the adaptation piece we've talked about. Some potential roles that we have are obviously as a practitioner. We can design it. We can do HEPs. We can do the wild swimming site eval. We could do the cabin eval to make sure you have a restroom that's appropriate for what you need. So we can do those evals. Stress management and coping strategy education. We can provide those things as a practitioner. Under educator, some areas that we can look at is family members, caregivers, siblings, okay? And also with not just understanding ecotherapy's basic principles, but diving deeper into how nature is healing, because nature could help heal the whole family, not just the child who's suffered from trauma. We can be researchers. We always need more evidence-based practice. Okay. We can be a case manager. We are highly capable of coordinating services for our clients. So we do need to make sure that we are able to step into that case manager role as we need to with ecotherapy for our children. Advocate, promoting the importance of OT treatment for childhood trauma. So much childhood trauma gets sent to school counselors and social workers um, and independent practitioners, psychologists, psychiatrists, when sometimes what that child needs is not that, or maybe it needs to be combined with OT. So we need to be able to promote the OT profession for um, for our children. So for a program, if we were putting this into place and that you could utilize if you wanted to begin ecotherapy at your site, you need advertising. In the Texarkana area, we have local parenting magazines, Four States Living Style magazines. You can do recruiting posters and flyers, free radio spots. NPR would probably help with something like this as a spot versus an ad to promote. Social media platforms are great, but you have to be on that platform to see it. Public relations. Public relations is all about what's free. So can you attend local ribbon cuttings, business openings, go out and shake hands, make friendly with the people around you, and you can start discussing an ecotherapy program. Promotion, this is what we're paying for. So we would say this is like a tree-shaped stress ball. You can actually get trees in a bag. They come in these little baggies. You plant the bag and they grow. So you could just tie a business card to that. That's biodegradable. Egg carton grow kits, very similar to tree in a bag. They're really cool. And then a logo sit upon, which is a reusable seat cushion that goes directly onto the. You also want to make sure you're looking at placement of recruiting posters. Flyers are being sent to daycare schools, the local Y. Caseworkers, pediatrician offices. Let's get them involved highly with childhood trauma. And then your child psychology offices. For third-party payers, you're going to have to give them some information too, because they're going to start going, what's ecotherapy? I don't want to pay you for that. I don't know what. So you need to go ahead and create an informational flyer with key billing codes for them and how this therapy meets that billing code. Book business meetings. Share the therapeutic benefits of nature with these business people, such as your doctors and child psychology offices. Provide templates of how billing documentation would be worded, and then seek their input. So what type of phrasing are you going to use to show them that it meets the billing code that you're wanting to use? Go ahead and give them an example. And then, if they say, well, I'd really like you to kind of do it this way, then format it to what they need so that you can get paid for your services for ecotherapy. And here are our references. So thank you all for being with us today. And I'm sorry, I've got a little cold, I guess. Really appreciate your time. And I hope this helps you think about ecotherapy, how to do something different, maybe new, with your children who have suffered trauma, as well as maybe some ideas of something you might want to begin. Or is there another niche that you're interested in that you want to get started? Maybe this can help spur that and give you a little motivation. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You all know how to reach me. And I hope you all have a wonderful and